following is a special presentation of ESPN on ABC. Step into the darkness. Here for all to witness. A rare summer spectacle. The unmistakable rhythm of steel, fire, and fury. Like a tolling bell beckoning drivers to greatness, you can't mistake this. Tonight at Bristol's 100th race, man's hardcore nocturnal instincts kick in. Hardened to the core, sparked with a desperate fire, drivers must leave fear behind as they pound through a race tempered for the night. Hammered and honed, perfected and precise. When the sparks fly, you can't hide in the shadows. Twisted steel, broken men, and only fire to lick your wounds. When day becomes night, everything changes. Pounding, forging through night's veil of black. As drivers and crew become instinctively aware, the chase is near. Tonight, we change the style, shunning the sun, embracing the moon, where some become legends and others become shadows. Racing, chasing into the night. This is NASCAR. This is Bristol.
And since July of 1961, now 100 times, NASCAR fans have stormed the gates of Bristol, Tennessee's Concrete Coliseum because this place delivers. Bristol Motor Speedway has given rise to tempers and rivalries, and more than a few times it has dashed chase hopes. Tonight, Kevin Harvick can forget about the chase. The points leader has secured himself a spot in the postseason, but with only 3 wins, Harvick is chasing 2 drivers who've paid 5 visits to victory lane this year. Denny Hamlin has a few short track wins to his name, but he has never won at this track. And then there is the 4-time and defending series champion, Jimmie Johnson. But for those 3, it's all about leading the way when the points reset. Clint Bowyer and Mark Martin, it's about being there when the points reset. Clint Bowyer holds the last spot. He's 12th in points. Mark Martin is on the outside looking in, and he has 3 races to make up the 35 points that separate him from making a run at the championship or being forced to play just spoiler. And the story tonight, Brad Keselowski, the young gun who's angered more than a few veterans, and Kyle Busch, who is the latest driver, unhappy with Keselowski. It is boys have at it. We got a preview in last night's Nationwide Series race because what went down between Busch and Keselowski was like good hard racing without a filter.
That's Bristol racing. I think he might get him right here.
He's got it. Oh, the contact.
Unbelievable. What a piece of...
Kyle, will he retaliate? Yes, he turns him.
Hold on.
That right there is a payback, folks. That's all that is.
Nice work, guys. Way to bring it home. There you go.
It is what it is. I'm going to go to work and work on beating his ass.
He put me in the fence. I went down into turn 3 and said, it's Brad Keselowski.
He does it to everybody else. Why can't I do it to him? He did a good job. Almost cleared me and kind of took it for granted that I would lift to let him in line, and I didn't. So, you know, that's his right. I'm going to sit here and complain about it.
I think Brad Keselowski should look himself in the mirror and say, I've brought this on myself.
Doggies.
Wow. Okay.
Inside the ESPN pit studio, I'm Nicole Briscoe alongside our 3 ESPN NASCAR analysts. We have Rusty Wallace, Brad Doherty, and Ray Evernham. You all were there to see it happen. What did you see go down last night between Keselowski and Busch?
Well, you could see it coming. There was no doubt about that. I mean, these guys are running side by side out there, almost 15 to 20 laps. You could see the tempers flaring up. They were getting tired of running side by side. They couldn't clear each other. And finally, Busch gets around him, he thinks, and he gets a bump in the back from Brad. Brad kind of instigated this little thing right here. And all of a sudden, Busch gets mad. I can't stand it. He spins him, and all heck breaks loose.
But Rusty, across short tracks in America, it's called a slide job, and that's an accepted pass. What Kyle did was clear. The driver behind has a choice whether to lift off the throttle or not. You heard Brad say he chose not to lift off the throttle. In other places, people lift, turn down, and a guy will try and pass you back. That infuriated Kyle. Kyle went down there and spun him out. We saw two really good, talented drivers being flexible.
See, I don't think that it was a situation of Brad overdriving, though, Ray. I think that Brad.
I didn't say overdriving. I said inflexible.
I don't think he was inflexible. It looked to me like when Kyle Busch went to make the slide job and slide up in front of Brad, that his car bobbled just a little bit. I think because of his right rear not quite clearing Brad. Brad kept his foot in it, and I think that if Kyle had made the slide perfectly, Brad would have hit him in the rear end. That would have happened, but because of the angle, he ended up turning him just a little bit. But then Kyle comes back and just wrecks the guy. That's tough. That's a tough thing to swallow.
As you can see, this is a topic of conversation that has them a little bit fired up. And for that reason, we've decided to open it up to our two other guys, Dale Jarrett and Andy Petrie. They're joining us now from upstairs with a great view in the booth. But DJ, if this is happening to you and you are Brad Keselowski, what do you do to make it stop?
Well, we're all going to have different opinions about this, and obviously up to the two guys that were involved in it last night. But if I'm in the 22 car and I saw what happened with Kyle Busch, he made a great move to get by. He just got a little bit loose right there. That broke his momentum, got into the back. Now, I agree, that happened. I don't think that that was deserving of getting spun out, leading the race, and then the guy gets out and brags about doing it, telling everybody what he did, and he did it intentionally. I just don't go for that. So, obviously, these guys have gone through this before, but if I were going to handle the situation there, Brad's on probation. You said, what would I do? I'd go to his motorhome door. When he opens it up, I'd punch him in the nose and say, we're even.
Well, if I ever make you mad, I'm keeping my motorhome door locked. But, let's be fair about it. But, Kyle Busch has done things that people don't like. Some fans don't like Kyle. But he really is a clean race car driver. I've not seen him go out here and wreck people and then brag about it like he did last night. He did it. He did do it last night. On the other hand, I got to hand it to Brad Keselowski for sticking to his guns. He said, I'm going to race hard, and if you race me, know it. I'm going to be there. If you try to slide up in front of me, I'm going to be wide open. So I give it to Brad for sticking to his guns, but he may have to become a little more flexible just out of self-preservation because he's become an easy target out there.
Gentlemen, thank you, but don't think that this is a topic of conversation we are going to move away from because, after all, this is Bristol Motor Speedway. And in the first 99 races at this track, 22 times the driver who has led the field to green has gone on to win the race. And this year, the driver leading the field to green is a guy who is going after the 2010 Bristol sweep. That would be Jimmy Johnson. He's on the Coors Light pole for the first time in 2010. And Johnson is standing by with our Dave Burns.
Yeah, the pole is a great run, but the last 6 races haven't been that great for you guys, and one top 10 in there, dropping 3rd to 5th. Jimmy, what has to happen tonight for you to be chase confident leaving Bristol?
Well, I mean, it's tough because some tracks we had some bad luck. Other tracks we faded during the race, and we recognize the 1.5 mile, 2 mile tracks. We need to do a little bit of work to have our cars fast over the long haul. So we've got some work. Atlanta's going to be an important race for us, and then luckily we have some time until we get to the first 1.5 mile race in the chase, and we're going to use that time to find some new stuff and maybe even go back a step or two. Sometimes you get ahead of yourself and ahead of the performance of the car and create some problems. So we have some good ideas. Very excited about tonight's starting position on the pole with the Los Impala. Looking forward to a good night, and hopefully I can win the night and dedicate it to Howie Leto, a great friend of ours that passed away, and those in short track racing in the Midwest miss him, know him well, and unfortunately cancer took him in a big hurry and way before his time, but I can't thank him enough for everything he did for me in my career, and hopefully we can win that for him tonight.
All right, our condolences as well to the Leto family. Good luck, Jimmy, tonight. And don't forget, that lull started with 2 wins in a row just before that, Nicole, so they're looking for that to come back to him.
Thank you, Dave. And keep in mind, Jimmy Johnson, this is one of the tracks that had eluded him until that March win here. Coming up next on NASCAR Countdown, the idea of Have At It Boys is nothing new. It is a long cultivated idea put into place by the drivers who put this sport on the map. More on that in a little bit. But first, who's hungry?
Bristol chicken is good chicken, baby!
And you know what? That was not scripted. Can you believe that? Not scripted.
NASCAR Countdown returns in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Anymore. Dale Earnhardt did it with his front bumper. Jimmy Spencer, Cale Yarbrough, Donnie Adelson. They sometimes did it with their fists. NASCAR's popularity has been enhanced by the on-track battles that have led to off-track scuffles. have at it, boys isn't something that's new. It's just back.
As it relates to the Sprint Cup Series, there's been a lot of debate and talk over the wintertime.